Yeah, absolutely. So, everyone, welcome to the Athletes Connect panel. I mean, before we introduce everyone, the goal of this, right, when we began was, COVID-19 has impacted us all in many different ways, right? Our current environment, given everything that's going on, there's a lot of ways that we could easily isolate. But I thought this would be a great way to no better time to connect. Right, this is no better time for us as athletes to connect, to share stories, stay connected with our teammates, and other athletes. And I wanted to. The goal for me was to how can we support our Special Olympic athletes, right, and make sure that we're still all our competitions are getting cancelled across the country, across worldwide, and so let's use this time to connect on things like how are you adapting to training, what things are you doing different both on and off the field or on the track or on the court, and what can we take away from a learning from each other's standpoint so that we could, I guess, be best prepared when when the world opens back up, right? And that'll be soon. The sun will come up, and
Oh
I'm
yeah.
excited for that. So, um, we got three new panelists, right, with Michael, Hilary, and Connor. So, before I pass it on to them, to Connor, a little bit about myself. The last 10 years, I've been rugby's my background. I've played internationally with 7s and 15s. It's a crazy sport. In the last 3 years, it's gone professional with Major League Rugby. And we're very lucky to be champions for the last 2 3 years. So we're happy about that. And now I've volunteered with the Special Olympics. My involvement with the Special Olympics is I've helped out with from a volunteer standpoint, and now this year I'm on the board. So I'm very excited about what we're about. I'm very excited about how we could provide more opportunities. And geez, like you guys, I can't wait for the world to open back up again to some form of normal. So without further ado, three new guests. Connor, why don't we start with you, man? Tell us a little about yourself. We're very excited to have you here, champion.
Hey, yeah, my name is Connor Fields. I'm 27 years old, and I am from Las Vegas, Nevada. I have been to the last two Olympics in London and then in Rio de Janeiro, and I'm a BMX racer. So for those who don't know what that means, it means I race a bicycle on a course that has jumps and turns, and we go really fast and jump really high, and it's quite fun. That's where I met you, is at the Olympic Training Center down in Chula Vista when you were getting ready on the USA rugby team. And then just like I'm sure everybody here, the whole COVID thing, it's changed a lot of plans. We're going to be getting ready for the Olympics right now. They were supposed to be in about a month. So I was planning on being in training right now, but things got moved to next year. And so we're just having to kind of adapt and overcome that new challenge.
Yeah, I bet. Hilary,
What?
tell us a little bit about yourself, Hilary.
Um, well, just cut me off guard. Sorry. I actually grew up in California, where I kind of miss it, but I love Bellingham because it's so everyone's nice and everything, and I just miss having seeing my friends and everything.
Nice.
Luckily, there's Zoom, but it's not the same. It's just not. I miss going out there and playing basketball.
That's awesome. And Hilary, you play basketball, softball, soccer, and bowling, right?
Yeah, but bowling's kind of boring though.
Thank you for sharing. Michael, how about yourself, man?
Thanks, Shalom. I'm Michael Munger. I've been an athlete for 9 years, going on 10 when we start back up in the fall. Been doing it ever since. Made a lot of friends, meeting new people. Now on the state IEC board. Get to meet you for the first time, Shalom, and you, Connor. And I've been having a blast.
Nice, Michael. That's awesome. So, Michael, tell us a little bit about the sports you play. I remember you saying you did bowling,
I do
track.
bowling, I do track, I did soccer. I do flag football off and on because of my body. Basketball.
Nice. That's awesome. Well, we got some cool topics and questions that we want to cover today, especially for our listeners. Our goal of this is to, throw out some questions out there that our listeners, hopefully that you can take away some small nuggets here and there, and we can get through this challenge together, right? With COVID-19 and everything else that's happening around us. So the theme of today's topic discussion was around overcoming challenges, right? So we're going to throw out a couple of questions to our panelists here, and around about 4 o'clock, right, we'll start opening this back up for a bit to all the questions. I see some great questions coming through. Please keep them coming. Keep them coming while we're tackling some of these questions, and we look forward to answering them. But for now, Connor, 2 Olympics, gold medal, BMX. That sounds crazy, man. Like, just I've seen you train. I've seen everything that goes from in the gym to on the track to the way you just go about your everyday life. So much respect for what you do, Connor. So on the theme of overcoming challenges, Connor, can you tell us a little bit about your history? Like, for our listeners, for example, did you play a variety of sports growing up, or was it BMX the whole way through? Just like Michael and Hilary, they played a variety. I know for myself, I played a little bit of everything growing up. Played a weird game called cricket. I'm not too sure if you guys are familiar with that, but I played a lot of sports growing up, and I'm sure the same as our listeners. Tell us a little bit about your athletic history growing up and where it led you to where you are today.
Yeah, I guess when I was growing up as a kid, I played a lot of different sports. I tried everything. I tried baseball, soccer, football, volleyball, basketball. I tried kind of a bit of everything. And then I discovered BMX when I was 7.
Nice.
And I really enjoyed it. And I kept playing other sports until I was maybe 10 or 11. But then at that point, it was getting to where, like, I would leave basketball practice early to go to the BMX races, or, I would be like at the BMX race and have to skip my last race to go play my baseball game or something. So it just kind of got to the point where I had to decide, do I want to do BMX? Because BMX is a year-round sport, where a lot of other ones was just a season for 3 months. So I kind of just had to decide, and I picked BMX because that was my favorite. And at that time, BMX was not in the Olympics. It was kind of just for fun. And then when I was about 13, maybe 14 years old, they announced that BMX was going to be put into the Olympics.
Wow.
So when that happened, I kind of started training harder and taking it a little more seriously, because now there was this chance to go to the Olympics. So then I watched the very first time BMX was in the Olympics was in 2008, and I watched it on TV. And then after that, I was like, yep, I have to go to the Olympics now. So then I just started training full time and dedicated everything. And then was lucky enough to make it to London, where I got 7th place. And talking about overcoming stuff, it's a long time to wait after the Olympics when you have 4 years to wait for another chance, right? Especially when it doesn't have a happy ending. Not everybody leaves, with a gold, silver, or bronze. Some people leave, with 7th place. And so for me, spending 4 years kind of waiting for that chance again, and then still believing that I could do it, that was kind of a hard thing to overcome.
Yeah, I bet, because I know, like, everything at the Olympics, it's down to the inches, right? And like the times are so small, the margins are so small between gold, a gold medal and maybe 10th place, for instance. So that's, talk about overcoming challenges. Do you remember another challenge as you were growing up through all the sports? Like, do you remember a big challenge that you faced growing up?
Yeah, I'd say the biggest one was I was really small for a long time. I didn't grow. And so when I was like 12, 13, 14, I was always the smallest kid that was racing against, the other 12-year-olds or the other 13-year-olds. And, in a lot of sports, if you're small and you're weaker than some of the other competitors, it can be hard. So I was losing a lot, and that was really hard for me because it wasn't fun when you were just going and you were trying as hard as you could. But some of these other kids might be 6 inches taller than you and stronger than you and just, farther along and growing up. So that was really hard for a few years. But then when I finally started to grow, when I was like 15, 16, and I was the same size as everybody, it was actually good because I had learned how to work really hard because I wasn't always the biggest.
Wow.
And so I took that same work ethic and I combined it with now it was more of like a level playing field because we were all the same size, but I worked harder than everybody else, and that kind of what helped me be successful.
How awesome. How awesome to hear that, to hear such powerful mindset to have at a young age, not taking something and making it an excuse, but using it for motivation, right? Channeling that in the right place. I'm sure one of our listeners on here will take that away as encouragement for sure. Michael, could you share a little bit about your sporting background and potentially some challenges that you may have faced?
When I do track specifically for me as a Special Olympic athlete, if I get second the following season, I take that into consideration, get better. This year I was supposed to work on my 100-meter dash, but with COVID happening, that and messing everything up, it messed me up. So this next season, knowing that the 2020 Summer Games are in Orlando, I'm working super hard this year to get my body right. I've been walking. I've been getting ready for it. Mindset set. I'm going to the National Games in Orlando in 2020.
Wow. That's awesome. So to the listeners out there, you bring up a good point. Track happened and then COVID-19 hit. To all our listeners, could you guys just use the chat function if you can and write what new sport were you going to try this year that that because of COVID-19 you couldn't participate in, right? And I have a second thought on this. What sports are you passionate about that are currently unavailable in your county, right? So if you could use the chat function and we're just intrigued about what those types of sports are. So while you guys are writing those questions out, Hilary, do you mind chatting about the sports that you play and challenges that you may have faced?
Sure. So I play, we just started track and field. We only had like one practice and then the COVID hit. So we pretty much only had like one practice. But I usually do the basketball, soccer, and softball. And bowling, but I haven't done bowling in like 2 years.
What event do you enjoy the most with track?
What?
What event do you specifically enjoy the most in track and field?
In high school, I did long jump, which was really fun, and then the 100-meter dash.
Nice. Connor, just to Michael's point, he talked a little bit about, coming second and how that was hard to digest. Could you speak more on how you came seventh and how did you handle losing, right? How did that feel to you? And then two, how did you use that in a way to motivate you to I guess to continue forward, and 4 years later you got your gold, right? Like for our listeners, we're not all going to win, right? But potentially, what are some ideas to go about handling losing? Is losing all right?
Yeah, I guess for me, a big shift was when I stopped focusing so much on whether I won or whether I lost, and I started focusing on if I did my best, right? And there's going to be days where you do your best and somebody's just better than you. Maybe they're stronger, faster. Maybe they trained harder. Maybe they just beat you that day. But if you did your best, it's okay to be sad. But what else could you do other than your best, right? So for me, it was just a bit of a mindset change of rather than focusing on what place I finished, focus on leaving every day, every competition, happy with my effort and happy with how I did. And so sometimes there's days where I would do my best and I would get third, and I would be, even happier than days where I would win, but maybe I didn't quite do my best and I made a lot of mistakes. And it was just, kind of just shifting the mindset to just focusing on that. And obviously at the end of the day, it's a sport. There's a reason why we keep score during a game, or we, measure how far you jump or how fast you run. Somebody wants to win. And for somebody to win, that means other people have to lose. And that's just part of the game. I guess, once you've won a few times and you've lost a few times, you realize that no matter what place you get, the sun still comes up the next day. Life goes on, and there's going to be another race or another game or another event. So also just keeping perspective on that and just understanding, like, there's always another event. There's, you can just train again, try again, and don't give up just because you had one bad day.
Yeah, what I'm hearing from you is, instead of focusing on the end result, focus on, I guess, the process, right? Focus on, leaving no stone unturned in terms of your training, your preparation, and things like that. That's great advice, Connor. I'm sure, again, our listeners will take some value out of that. Michael,
I'm wondering if I can jump in just really quickly.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm wondering if either Michael or Hilary, you guys could share with Shalom and Connor the athlete oath. Corey just mentioned it in the chat, and I think it fits in really well to what Connor was just saying. Do either of you have it memorized?
No. I did it once in bowling, and that's about it. I don't
It's been a while.
Okay, I can help you. Okay. It's let me win, but if I cannot win, let me be brave in the attempt. And
Yep,
so that's
goosebumps.
That is our actual model from the founder of Special Olympics, and it fits us to the T. Even though we're in COVID-19 still, that's what I'm taking. Is let me.
I think
I'm focusing ahead.
Yeah, and I think that's a really good thing, because what a lot of people don't think about is that it does take bravery to compete, because it means that you care, and it means that you're going to find out what place you got and how good you are, and it takes bravery to do that, because it might not always have a happy ending. And I like that statement a lot. That's really cool.
Oh, great. Like, I think there's a similar quote out there that I remember, if I remember it correctly, that, failure is actually not even trying. That is failure, right? But your ability to just give it a go first and foremost. If you fail, give it another go and just continue trying, if not a new sport, the current sport you're in, just that theme of attempting is actually the real win. So I like that. Thank you, Leah, for sharing. Is there anything else, Leah?
No, that was all. Corey mentioned it in the chat, and I thought that was a great point, Corey. So keep going. Sorry. Thanks for letting me jump in.
No worries. I just want to shift gears here. I'm sensitive. I've got about 10 more minutes before we open it up to the floor. Connor, I've got a story to share with everybody. So for those of you who are unfamiliar, I like Connor mentioned, we go back to the United States Olympic Training Center. I think it was in California. That's where we met. And here we would have a variety of sports training, right? Whether from BMX to track to rugby, soccer, archery, you name it. It was all there. And so there are three certain areas, right? You got where everybody trains, you have where everybody dines and eats together, and the one place where you'd see some really crazy things. And I I want to get Connor's opinion on this, was the medical room, right? And I'm gonna go towards speak on injuries here, right? Because I'm sure everyone's got injured to some sort of degree. We're all athletes here, and so I'm gonna speak on how have you overcome challenges. So, for example, in that med room, your normal wear and tear rugby injuries are things like shoulder, knee, just normal things like that, an ankle maybe. But geez, I'd see some other sports come through, including BMX, and they'd have some horrific injuries, and yet they keep calling us the crazy guys. Connor, question number one, have you ever had to overcome any catastrophic like injuries that has set you back a little bit? Did you get discouraged by it? And then, we'll just stick with that. Have you had any sort of big injuries that have set you back as an athlete?
Of course, I think, part of being an athlete is knowing that at some time or another you're going to get injured. It might be a big injury, it might be a small injury, but when you're pushing your body to the limits every day when you're training and practicing and competing, part of what you sign up for when you're competing is like you get this amazing experience of working hard and achieving goals and making friends and winning medals and all those things. But on the flip side of it, you run the risk of getting hurt, and it's, if it was only the good stuff, everybody would do it, right? Yeah. If there was none of the bad stuff, everybody, oh yeah, sweet, never going to have anything bad happen. So for me, I guess I had the understanding that part of being an athlete means that I'm going to be injured sometimes. That's just part of the game. But for me personally, I've had some injuries. I've torn a ligament in my knee. I've broken my collarbone in my shoulder. I've broken my wrist. I'm sure you can kind of see the scar right there. Had some surgery on my wrist. I've had a few injuries, but at the end of the day, the first thing I always ask the doctor is how long until I can ride again. So, that's a true athlete, is when you get hurt and your first question is, when can I go do what just hurt me again?
I'm sure everybody can resonate with that. So please use the chat function, write in if you've had a major injury or a minor injury and how you recovered from that. I'd love to hear. We'd love to hear. Connor, thanks for sharing that. But before you go, man, like you've had a dislocated wrist, was it? A ligament on the knee?
I shattered my wrist.
Yeah, I've seen some crazy injuries in that medical room, man. So, Hilary, Michael, any injuries that has prevented you guys from participating?
I think it was my second or third year in soccer. A friend of mine, I was goaltending. I blocked the soccer ball with my elbow and almost shattered it.
Ouch.
And the doctor's like, you came like inches away from shattering your elbow, and this before state too.
Wow.
So I took it slow, let it heal through the week, and I was ready to go for state.
That's awesome. And did you ask the doctor as well, when can I get back out there and do the crazy
Yep.
thing that just hurt me again?
Yeah, it's like, when can I get out there? He's like, take it slow. I'm like, It's like, but I'm the goalkeeper. I can't.
Hilary, yourself, do you remember of any injuries?
Yep. It was actually basketball. It was when we didn't have enough players. I think the other team actually had to come on our team or something.
Yeah.
I don't remember what the gist of it is, because I took the ball from the other team. It was like kind of like higher. And then I elbowed my temple, like both. I like pretty much got knocked out.
Ouch.
But like when I stood up, I'm like, the coach is like, do you want to sit out? I'm like, no, I want to play. And then I was so disorganized and everything. So I went to go to talk to the medic, and then they were asking me all these questions, and then this guy's like, it's this month or something. It was like 100 games, I think, or I don't remember. But I know it was basketball. And they're like, you can't play for the rest. I'm like, I don't want to go play. But we only had like maybe like another game left or something. I don't remember, but all I know is I did get hit in the head.
Nice. Crazy. I mean, here's a funny thing about us athletes is that what we have in common is, to Connor's point, right? You go to the doctor, and isn't it crazy how the first thing we ask our doctors, when can we get back out there, right?
Mm-hmm.
The very thing that hurt us, it's in us. It's in us, and that's why we're here today, to share these stories, to connect on that. to be encouraged. Hopefully the listeners take away. Like I just saw a chat come in saying someone broke their leg and they were back in a month. Like I would love to hear what you were using.
Yeah, I know, right?
What was that? But no, these are incredible stories. These are all speaks to, the perseverance of what athletes have, right? No matter where you go in life. Like I know for sure that I'm going to look back at the injuries that I've had. I'm like, when I'm watching rugby, I'll be like, why did I play that game again? What was I thinking? And I'm sure we all have that moment. So thank you for sharing. We got a couple more minutes. We got 3 more minutes, and I want to address one last question before we open it up. So obviously, given our current environment with COVID-19, it's been challenging for everybody, right? And so I guess what I want to ask each and every one of you panelists is, what have you done? What have you overcome during this time that will help you prepare for when we're allowed to compete again, right? How have you best managed this time? How have you best managed this time so that, when we are allowed to compete again, Connor, Hilary, Michael, it might be different between all three of you when you can and can't compete again, but when you can, how have you effectively used this time? And maybe our listeners might take something out of this. Connor, we'll start with you.
Yeah, I guess for me, I was just focusing on what can I do right now to stay in shape and stay ready.
Great point.
Not going to lie, there's definitely days where I feel unmotivated, and the fact of not having an event on the schedule, right?
That's okay though, right?
Yeah, it's fine. Like what I keep reminding myself is we will be racing again, right? Like it's not like I'm never going to be competing ever again. I just don't know when. So I'm just trying to do what I can. I mean, you guys can see right there, I've got my workout bike I use almost every day. And just I do what I can. That way, when the time comes to start competing again, I don't have to think back and say, dang, I shouldn't have wasted all that time during those 3 months and not stayed ready.
That's awesome. I like that. Michael, what have you done, champion?
I've been walking 4.2 miles every Saturday to my brother's house for our game night. I've been walking up and down the block to the store, to the mall, thinking of tracking right for my 200-meter walk, staying healthy. I just bought an armband for my phone so I can listen to music when I'm start walking. So I'm been thinking, okay, this is coming up. You got to do this for nationals to go.
Yeah. That's awesome. And Michael, that's a lot of activity. And I'm sure like one of our listeners could be thinking, you know what, competitions haven't opened up quite yet. I still have time to go out and be prepared as possible for when competition does open up. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you for that. That's very helpful. Hilary, what do you think? How have you best prepared? During this time off, what have you done? What can you still do that that maybe our listeners might resonate with?
I usually go for a walk sometimes with my staff. Other than that, I just chase my bunny around the apartment. It's kind
nice.
Of
that does the trick.
Yep. And let me tell you, bunny's really fast.
I bet, no doubt. Well, awesome. I really appreciate it. Look, we got a ton of questions. Leah, Rachel, I'm going to hand it back to you guys and however you want to facilitate these questions, but we got about 15 minutes left.
Connor, do you have time to answer a question specifically for you?
Yeah, so I've got about 10 minutes, and then I actually have class. I'm in college as well, and just like everything, it's been moved to online. So I got class in 10 minutes.
Busy, I like it. So Marcia asked a question. You mentioned that you had a size disadvantage when you started your sport. She wants to know how you turn that disadvantage to an advantage, and then also how you're preparing for Tokyo.
Well, I guess, the size disadvantage I didn't really do anything other than wait and grow, right? You know, you can't control when you're a kid. You can't control how fast you grow. And some kids are always going to be taller than others and bigger than others when they're young. But I just always tried to work harder than the other guys that were bigger than me, because I knew that I wasn't going to beat them with my size. I was going to beat them by working harder or working smarter. But then once I did grow and I was the same size as them, I was still working harder and still working smarter. And that was kind of when I became better. And the second part of the question was how I'm preparing for Tokyo. The same way I prepare for every race. I don't do anything different because it's the Olympics. You know, I try to get as fit as I can, as strong as I can, and as good and comfortable on the bike as I can, and then try to go in there with the best attitude as possible. And yeah, I mean, it's still about over a year away, and hopefully there's lots of races between now and then. So I'm just going to be taking it one race at a time, and before we know it, hopefully we'll be in Tokyo.
Awesome. That's a great answer. Tim, I believe this was from Tim Dempsey. He asked, what inspired, this is for both Shalom and Connor, and then Hilary and Michael, you can join on this one too. What inspired you to become a professional, and how did you train to get there? And then he also asked Connor if you have met Matt Hoffman, who I had to look up. So I don't know the answer.
Yes, I've met Matt Hoffman a few times. He's a nice guy. And to answer the other questions, for me, I didn't start racing BMX because I wanted to be a professional. I started because I loved it, and I always loved it. I still, to this day, I love it. So the fact that I was good at it, it just was like a bonus. Like, I have the best job in the world because I get to do what I enjoy doing. So I think for me, the first thing, the most important thing to be a professional at anything, not just sports, is to find something that you enjoy, because you're more likely to work hard at it and do it enough. Like, to be a professional, you have to do something every day or almost every day. And if you don't enjoy it, you're not going to want to do it every day. So I'm lucky that I found what I enjoyed and that I was also good at it. And I put the two together, and I now get to do my sport for a job.
That's awesome. I'm very similar to you, Connor. Like, I started playing, I played rugby because my friends played, right? Just like in elementary or middle school or high school. I did it so that I could effectively play with my friends. And then along the way, I got better and better at it. And then you find that the higher you climb to becoming a professional, the harder things get, right? And that's what Connor's talking about, right? At that point, I really questioned, do I really love rugby? Because these trainings aren't as fun as they used to be with my friends. And all of a sudden, you know, your friends start to drop off, or maybe you make new friends. And so, yeah, so to Connor's point, it really is true. You really got to love what you do. And then from there, you got to figure out, okay, because when the rubber meets the road, when it gets harder, it really is tough. And then we all get to be like a gold medalist like Connor.
And I think something to touch on that we can both agree with, probably everyone here, not every day is perfect, and not every day is amazing, and not every day you don't love it every single day. There's definitely days, I'm sure you all are athletes, you get it, where you wake up in the morning and you'd rather go to the movies than go to training, right? Or you'd rather just sit on the couch than go lift weights. But
for me, it's like pretty much get home from track and it's like my legs are like killing me. It's like, do I want to go next day? It's like, yeah, I better.
Good job, Michael.
That's how it is, but you just always got to think about the end goal and thinking about the competitions, and that you want to be your very best. But it's not, just like with COVID, it's not perfect every day.
And Michael and Hilary, do you have anything to add on to that? I think it kind of feeds into another question, which was what motivates you to do well in competition? So Hilary and Michael, do you want to talk about that? What keeps you motivated?
What motivates me is the level of competition. Each year I work harder and harder to get up there. And when I hit state, every time, if 1 year I didn't make state. The following year I did. Got second in my 200. I'm like, okay. Now I looked at the schedule for the 2022 season, and I'm like, okay, keep working my goal up and up. I go for about 200 meters. I want to get that gold, qualify, work my tail off for nationals, and get qualified for the World Games.
That's great. Hilary, how about you?
If our team, I know it's a team effort for like basketball and everything. So I feel like if everyone gives like 100%, then you can like go on. If like say if we were not placed in the right division like we weren't last year, we were placed in like A and we were supposed to be placed in C. We actually played really hard and we got in 4th. But I feel like if like we were placed in the right division, we probably would have been at least in 1st place. But I feel like if you try your hardest and everything, you can succeed in anything that you do.
I think that's awesome. Your point of all of your teammates being a good team player. I think the camaraderie, looking out for each other, that's definitely a huge motivator. I think that's a great point.
Another question from, who is this from? Tim again. If you guys could join a unified team and play with our athletes, what sport would you join?
Soccer.
Do they?
Yes.
It's tough because the sport that I would want to join, I'm not very good at. So I don't know if I would help the team or hurt the team. I enjoy ice hockey. As a fan, like watching it, I enjoy ice hockey. So I'd love to play ice hockey, but I don't think I'd be very good because I can't even skate.
I guess you can always learn. I mean.
That's right. That's right. Once I'm done with my BMX race, and maybe I'll buy some ice skates and try to learn.
What about you, Shalom?
I've always been a wannabe soccer player. So I'd give that a go, or basketball. I'm too short for basketball, but I'll give it a go.
You can get through their legs.
Hilary, sign me up on your team. I like those strategies.
Okay, we had another question from Cami. And Cami, I'm not going to read the whole thing here, but the question is, have you ever felt embarrassed by maybe not doing very well, or by accidentally, she tells a story of accidentally getting hit by a soccer ball. And have you ever been embarrassed, and what did you do to get over that?
Go ahead, Connor.
I was just thinking about how embarrassed I was. It was my first ever World Championships that I did. It was 2010, and I was winning by a lot, and I crashed all by myself in 1st place, 1 turn away from the finish line. And it was like the biggest race of the year because it's the World Championships, and everybody was watching, and I just exploded all by myself. But then the hardest thing was I was so scared that the next time that I was going to win a race, I was going to do it again. So how I overcame that is I just told myself, well, the only way that you're going to get to try to feel better about it is you got to try to get in front and lead a race again. So I just tried, as fast as I could to get to another race and to get out and lead and just start winning races again. And that's kind of what helped me get over doing it right, I guess. Fixing the mistake that I made is what helped me kind of get over being embarrassed.
As for me, coming in second, I would take it, process it, talk to my coach for track, who's one of my best friends, and we would decide to plan for the next season to work on things and get everything smoothed out and ready to go for the following season.
Mine was actually in soccer last year. We were playing on a team, and of course the skills were done, and one of the Bellingham Independence skill team player was walking right in the middle of our field. So I tried to stop it, but I couldn't. And then they scored on me, which I felt really bad, but I didn't want her to get kicked in the face by a soccer ball. And then they scored again, but it kind of was a cheating kind of score. But we came in fourth, I think. Yeah. It kind of was really embarrassing for me because as a goalie, you should be catching them, but.
Connor, is it time for you? Sensitive of your time here.
It is about time. Is there any other questions that anybody had for me before I run?
There was one question about how many years each of you have played your sport. That could be a quick one.
20.
That's awesome.
Since
about the same. 20 as well.
For me, it's 9 since we have different seasons for all of our sports, so it's been 9 years for me.
Nice.
Well, I started in high school playing basketball and stuff, so in Special Olympics, it started in 2009 when I was playing in actually Everett and then back in Bellingham. But I started playing basketball since I was 14.
Wow, awesome. Well, I'm sure everybody on the panel and all the listeners could join me in thanking Connor for taking time out of his day to join us today. Connor, on behalf of Special Olympics Washington, seriously, thank you for taking time out to chat. I'm positive everybody got something out of it today, whether it's something, one or two things, and we really appreciate it. And we wish you all the best for your preparation.
Thanks, guys. It was nice talking to all you guys, meeting you guys. I hope you guys are staying safe right now, and look forward to seeing you all back on the courts and the fields and the track soon.
Thanks,
Connor.
Later, Connor.
See you guys.
All right. Well, we have 15 more minutes here. We have a few more questions.
Leah, Easy has a couple questions for all of us in the chat.
Yes. So let's see. Lizzie's question was, do you feel like you're missing some recognition as we're not competing right now and not able to see our teammates? Do you feel like you're missing some recognition?
As for me, no, because it's all about the camaraderie with my teammates on all my sports. Even my track team, even though it's a single competition for each athlete, we're still a team. We still treat each other on. They all get the applause. They all get the recognition. I am good until we get back. I am golden with not having the recognition right now or the applause. I just want to have that camaraderie again with all my teammates. I miss it.
That's awesome, Michael. And that sort of leads into, if Shalom or Hilary, you have more to say on that, feel free. But
Michael.
What was that?
I agree with Michael, what he had to say.
I think that was awesome, Michael. And it led me to another question that I had, which was, how do your teammates and your friends and your family support you to overcome challenges? I know for a lot of us here within Special Olympics, there is such a community, such a family, friendships. Do you look to those people to help you overcome challenges?
Yeah, I do. And my family supports me. When I started doing Special Olympics, they supported me. They still do. Even though it's hard for most of them having kids and their own family and lives to actually get to competitions. and anytime I report back how I did, they like, "Oh, way to go, brother. We know you could do it."
That's awesome. How about for you, Hilary? You
Sorry,
mentioned
the question.
you're good. I know earlier you were talking about really being a team player, being a team sport. Do you think that also helps to overcome challenges?
Yeah, because then you can actually, like, if you had a problem, let's say it's like not related to Special Olympics, you can always call on your team to help you figure something out, even like through Zoom or Facebook or something. There's always a way to connect with people if you're feeling down or anything.
Yeah, I definitely miss playing with my teammates. I totally agree with you, Michael and Hilary, with your comments. I feel both, right? There are days where I can still connect with them electronically, but ultimately there are days also where I miss connecting with them, out on the field doing what we all love, right? So I sit on both sides of the fence for that question.
All right, and I'm just checking what other questions. I think we have answered most of our questions. Let's see.
Another one just popped.
Let's see. Anthony just asked if anyone has stories or experiences to share on how, let's see, how you shared a success with your team where you felt the team effort.
Oh, not get too talky or in our own heads about getting goal. It's about celebrating each player on the other team too, about how they played. It's everything.
For me, whenever we play, if we're down or up, we're like, we just have to work as a team and just try our best. If we don't succeed, there's always next year, the next time we can compete. And man, I miss playing basketball.
I agree with you, Hilary. I do too, but hey, it happens.
Yeah.
I might want to get a basketball thing for my bedroom so I can just play.
Yeah, well, for me, I got an interesting story that you guys might not know about, but for the Seawolves, right? We won the championship 2018 and 19. So here's one thing that was challenging for us, right? And as a team, I was lucky enough to be captain those 2 years, and there were some interesting challenges, and I had to be careful to how I communicated that with my team, right, and how to articulate that. So both of the years when we won, right, we played each team twice before the playoffs, right? And both of those years, like in 2018, we had lost to Colorado twice during that year, right? We had lost to them at our home, and we had lost to them at their home ground, and we had played them in the final. So as you can imagine, we're thinking, well, here we go again. Doesn't this picture look familiar, right? We've lost to these guys twice in a row. How are we going to win, right? How are we going to win? What are we going to do different? So there was I think it was motivating itself to be able to, to formulate a plan on what we're going to do better. I mean, third time lucky, right? And we had just won by a very small margin. And so same thing in 2019, very familiar picture. San Diego beat us. They gave us they beat us by a large margin in front of our crowd. The first time we had lost at our home ground. And for those of you who haven't been to a Seawolves game, it's crazy. It's crazy there. And we felt like we really just let down our hometown, Seattle. And we went to San Diego, we lost there. And so we're thinking, we had a great run to the back end of the season, made the final, and guess who we face? San Diego again, and here we go. And we literally won that game in overtime. Like, the amount of belief, the amount of overcoming, the amount of what I told my teammates were like, listen, those 2 games are gone. All right, we're here now. Championship, as you guys know, and championship is a whole new game. And that was the mentality we took in. And so, interesting. I'll forever remember that. Great question.
We have a really great question from Marcia. She wants to know, teams can be really challenging to be on at times with all the personality. So how do you guys handle teammates when they, might have bad sportsmanship or bad attitude or just not in the same mindset as you?
Oh boy, I love Marcia. That was a good one. For me, I would actually, during the huddle, during basketball season or flag football, I would say, hey, calm down, relax. It's just a game. We're here to have fun. I know we want to get gold, but don't worry about it. Don't even look at the score until after we're all done. Because right now, it's just all on us to actually get our jobs done.
Well, usually I probably should be more respectful, but whenever my teammates are like they want me to listen, I'm like, I don't listen to you. You're not the coach. But then I make everyone laugh by like just goofing off. I mean, some of them think it's funny, but then most of my teammates, like only 1 or 2 don't. But then they get in like the mindset that it's gonna be okay or something.
So Hilary, you more so use humor to lighten the mood.
Yeah, pretty much. Or I try to be humorous, but sometimes it doesn't pan out that way.
That's okay. I feel the same way, Hilary. Well, we're close to time here, and I think that's all of our questions. So for the remaining few minutes, or we can end early, Hilary, Michael, and Shalom, are there any other bits of advice that you would like to share to our listeners about overcoming challenges or stories to share? You have the floor.
I'll let Shalom go first.
No, I just want to say, Hilary, Michael, and everyone listening, thank you so much for taking the time. Leah and Rachel, of course. I truly hope that there's even 1 or 2 small pieces of advice that you could take from today. That was the goal of today's panel. I know I've learned something from you, Michael and Hilary, right? And the way you handle being a teammate, what you've done during this time, the injuries that you've had and how you've overcome those, like Hilary getting hit in the face like that. Like, I know I'm taking something away. So I just want to say thank you to you guys. That's all.
Thanks, Shalom. As for me, like I said, if your teammate has a bad attitude or have a problem, take them aside, talk to them, find out what's going on, correct it, at least help them out when you can during competition, on our break from competition, anytime. Either, excuse me, during practice or competition at regionals, sub-regionals, or state, please watch out for all your teammates and see what they need.
Thanks, Michael. Hilary, do you have any last words of advice for overcoming challenges?
I don't know.
That's okay. You've shared a lot of good pieces of advice this whole time.
I guess I like the saying that my mom used, like used to say when I was growing up, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. And I think that kind of goes with Special Olympics, because if it's not really sportsmanship, you probably should not be saying it and stuff. Yeah.
We love good teammates.
Yep.
Absolutely. Well, thank you all so much for joining us. Shalom, Hilary, and Michael, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us today and share your stories, share your pieces of advice. It's been really fun hearing from all of you.
I want to go see a rugby game now.
I know, so do I.
Me too.
Yeah, set that up for us for AIC. Come on.
I'll work on it.
Next year, when we're back in action, when everyone's back in action, we'll do something with the Seawolves.
Yep. I'll make sure it happens.
And Shalom, just so you know, you have I believe it was Tim, or it might have been Corey, from Federal Way, invited you to any soccer practice you'd like to participate in. You're welcome to go join their team.
You can count on it. I'll be there. When everything opens back up, I'm going to try everything.
Can
Bellingham.
I enter the one from Kabar?
Yeah. I live in Shoreline, so I'll try and find a place around here in Washington somewhere to find a team where I can join you guys. I'm looking forward to it.
Cool.
Thank you all.
Kabar, as a leader, yes, you can, and you got to help the coach out too. So please do that.
Yeah, will do, Michael.
Absolutely. All right. Thank you all so much for joining us. We will share more information about upcoming webinars.
Bye.
Later, guys.
Bye.
Bye.